Good morning, Sandy. You're the first one that's your name that has popped up. Thank you for being here. Okay, I'm just going to set the computer out of the way a little bit. How is everybody? Hi, Vesta. How is everyone on this happy Halloween day? It looks like it's going to start raining anytime now. And I think this is typical. It seems like every trick or treat, as far as I can remember, it's cold, it's damp. We're not getting the really nice weather like it seems like on the East Coast. They're saying that trick or treat tonight could be in the 80s. Not going to happen here in Northwest Ohio. So, but thank you for being here. Speaking of Halloween and trick or treating, tonight would have been the night that we do our barn quilt kit together. And I'm moving that to tomorrow night so that families can be out and go trick-or-treating with your grandchildren or your children. So we're going to move that to tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Other news, let's see, Stampin' Up! Today is the last day for the starter kit special, and it's the last day for the kit sale. Some of the kits are up to 30% off, so you'll want to check the website if there's any kits that you've been wanting. See what kind of discounts that you're getting on them right now, but today's the last day for that. So I am going to flip the camera around, and we're going to get started on a Throwback Thursday. This project actually was done originally back in 2021. And so we're going to redo it. I'm going to create a PDF for it because back then I wasn't doing PDFs. And so there will be a PDF for the file this weekend. We're going to be doing it with some current product. We know how DSP can change the look of any card. The same design will have a totally different look and feel depending on what designer series paper, what colors that you choose. So it's gonna be fun to redo this project. And I want to thank Betty Bowles for going back in those archives and going back as far as she did to find this project. And when she shared it in our community group, it got a lot of notice and a lot of inquiry. So why not do it? And I think I'm going to make this a part of my Thursdays, like maybe every other week, do a mystery quilt block and then a throwback Thursday so we can get caught up and get some more files or more projects in the files over in our community group. So I'm going to change or flip the camera around and we're going to get started on today's project. It's so cute. Okay. Slip this up here. Do a minor flip. And let's try to make this a little bit bigger if we can. I'm hoping. I don't want to go too zoomed in, because you don't need to see my whole desk. So, Melanie, good morning, and Kay, Linda, Marilyn, Susan, Louise, Linda, good morning, everyone. Hi, Helene, thank you for being here. So, great. So now I can see the comments. I've got my computer right beside me, and we're going to get started. Hi, Lynn. If you're new and you're jumping on, let us know where you're watching from. We love to see how spread out we are over the United States. And we do have people who watch from Australia and Canada and across the pond. So remind us of where you're watching from. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Eileen. And Amanda. Hi, Jean. All right. So the original easel card this Chirpydoodle Blackbird sitting on a patchwork pumpkin. Oh my goodness, pretty long title, but don't want to leave any of the elements out. This was done back in 2021, and some of you probably remember the plaid 6x6 designer series paper pack that was popular back then. That's where a lot of, well, no, here's another. This was I believe this might have been a celebration paper. But anyway, it's this really cute little easel card. And we're going to change it up by using some current product. And last week I used the autumn scrapbooking designer series paper in the two-toned cardstock. Well, I'm going back to that because after today, I have a pretty good feeling that the fall projects are going to kind of taper off and get into some other things. So I wanted to use this designer series paper one more time. Hi, Lori. Yay, Betty, you're here. Betty, who started it all, is in the house. And Kathy, hello. So let's see what we can do to change this up a little bit and bring in some current product. So this was my board that I put together. On Wednesdays, I will make a post that is like a prep sheet for the Thursday project. And so this is what my board looks like. And what we're going to get started with is we're going to get some cutting and scoring out of the way. So I'm going to bring in my card base, which is 5.5 by 8.5. And I had you score it at 4 1/4. But we're going to do a few more steps to that card base. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer. And I want you to put your card base in your trimmer with the 5.5 inch side across the top. Now, my first cut, I'm going to work on this side of my platform here on my trimmer. I'm going to use the ruler on this side. So I'm going to put this over to the right at 1.25 inches. Okay. And I may have to stand up for this. And I'm going to bring my cutting blade in, and I'm going to put it right on that score line that is at 4 1/4 this way. So I'm going to put it right on that score line, and I am going to cut upwards. Okay. And so here I have my score line, and I've got one of the sides to the easel already cut. Now I want to do this side, and you could as easily, if you can see your score line, flip it over and do it that way. But what I am going to do is I'm just going to turn it around, and I'm still going to put this uncut side over here at 1.25 inches. But I am going to, before I lower the guard here, I'm going to bring that scoring blade back down to the middle of the card, and I'm going to cut downward. Okay. So I have these two flaps right now. Okay, so that is how we're going to cut the card base. Now I need to score this middle part in half. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip those little legs backwards. I'm going to put this back in my trimmer at 2 1/8. Okay, so I just put it back in at 2 1/8. And now I'm going to score. And now we can move the trimmer out of the way. I'm going to bring my working piece of cardstock to get the glare off of the glass mat. So our card base, and now I'm going to go ahead and I am going to burnish my score lines. So I want to even out my corners here. Just gonna make sure that they, and I was a little off on my, when I scored it. I'm just gonna leave that alone. They both, because of when I scored it, I'm off a little bit. I don't mind that I can see these ends going beyond my the card base. I'm not worried about that. If it was really, really noticeable, I'd do some trimming. But let's give all of our score lines a nice burnish. And I just want to apologize right now. My retainer is giving me a little bit of a problem, so sometimes it sounds like I'm slurring my words, but it's my retainer. So, yes, after braces all this time, I still have to worry about a retainer. So here's our easel. Okay, we're going to set this aside just for a moment. And on my to-do, the order I want to do my to-do list is we're going to bring in our layers. So we're going to create some panels that are going to lay on top of our sides here on our easel card. Okay, there's going to be one for each side. So the designer series paper is 1 inch by 4, and then the layer behind it is 1/8 of an inch bigger. So it's 1 1/8 by 4 1/8. We've got those two. And then the inside of our easel, I have a sentiment. I've added some texture to the bottom. When I added texture to the front of the card front, I also put a little bit of texture on the bottom, if you can see that, just to give it some interest. And this layer is going to go right on the inside. And then we have our layer for the front that our pumpkin is going to sit on. And so we have that. So we're just going to put all these layers together. How many people are going out with their children or grandchildren tonight to go trick-or-treating? Our neighborhood doesn't get the amount of trick-or-treaters that it used to. We've got children. Our street is actually like 2 blocks long. And we do have a lot of children on these 2 blocks, but they don't go trick-or-treating. For whatever reason, it's really died down here. So we always end up with a lot of candy. So when we go shopping for the trick-or-treat candy, we, of course, buy everything that we like, because that way when it's left over, we get to eat it. I don't know. Does anybody else plan their Halloween trick-or-treat candy around what you like, since you may be left over with some. Okay, so we got those 2 panels. And because these are, the layers behind are only 1/8 of an inch bigger, you're only going to have a little tiny border that shows. I know this early espresso on such a dark background is hard for you to see, but can you see how we just have this little tiny border, a very thin border all the way around? So we've got this one, and we've got to do the inside. Yeah, just take a look at it here. That looks pretty good. Okay. So let's go ahead and put this one, you know what, before we do that, let's put our side panels on. I'm going to open up the card and fold under everything that I don't need to see. Again, this is just a little tiny border going around it. How does that look in the camera? Okay, pretty good. Jean says you only have a few trick-or-treaters. 2 will be grandkids. Nerd clusters. Oh my gosh. So it was this year. We had our grandson, and we took him to the movies when the Elemental, I think it was Elemental or Element movie was out. And of course, you know, being grandparents, we're at the popcorn counter and the candy counter, and we're letting him get whatever he wants, right? Well, he got a bag of those nerd clusters. And as we're watching the movie, I've never had them before. So as we're watching the movie, he's handing me a couple, and oh my gosh, it was like I had to fight him for the bag because I wanted them all. They are so delicious. Darcy says she buys candy that she doesn't like, so she won't eat it. I like how you think, Darcy. Okay, so let's glue these little legs down. We're going to glue these right down to the bottom of the card base. Well, it's a good thing that I'm going to have to glue that. Just going to flip them over, line them up on the sides, and just close these. Okay, so there we've got our sides down. And I am just bound to get glue everywhere. And let's go ahead and put our inside down. Okay, so that'll be a little tiny border all the way around also. And so with your easel card, when it stands up, it's going to hide your sentiment, but somewhere down in here is probably where it's going to land. And so I wanted some texture right here on this part. Let's see if I can't zoom in just a little bit more. Hold on. Maybe that's a little bit better. Okay. Let's see. Let's put this to the side. I'm going to put my panel here that's got some glue on it. I'm just going to get that out of the way so I quit moving the glue from one point to another. And we're going to bring in the 2 by 2.5 inch piece of cardstock. I went with the same color as my textured layer, because this is going to be what we're going to build our pumpkin on. And when I glue it down, you know how you can see like the sides of your cardstock? As long as it's the same color, it's not anything too obvious. So that's why I'm going with the same color. We're going to cover this all the way up. So we're not going to see it from the top, but we will see it from the sides. And I just thought it blended in nicely if we stick with the same color. Now, what I did on mine, and this was just to help keep me straight, I scored, I put the 2-inch side across the top of my trimmer. Okay, so I put the 2-inch across the top of my trimmer, and every 1/2 inch, I scored it. Move it over to 1 inch, score, 1.5 score. This is going to help me keep my rows straight. Not perfect, but it's going to help me keep me straight. Of course, I can go by the outside, but sometimes I tend to push my paper too close to the outside, and when I flip it over, I've actually gone beyond it. So, this is just a little something that I did to help me stay somewhat straight. So here I have my 2 by 2.5, and I'm going to bring in my board because I have all of these little 1/2 inch squares of designer series paper from the autumn scrapbook collection there. And I'm going to do this a little scrappy. I've got some samples to show you. I've got, I think, 5 or 6 other cards already done. How I took the time to actually do like a checkerboard pattern with my pumpkin. But this one's going to be a little scrappy. And the reason why I'm going through this is I thought I had a little bird saved. I might have used him already. Oh, he's already in another card. Okay, well that's all right. I'll have to point, or wait a minute. There he is. I gotta put the little bird somewhere in my patchwork, so I'm gonna pull that out. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to put some glue down in that first 1/2 inch section, and I'm just gonna start pulling some of my colors. Gonna start right up there in the upper left hand corner. I want my cardstock out to the edge, but I'm gonna try to be careful not to make it stick out. If it ends up sticking out, that's fine, because we're going to flip it over and we're going to trim off any pieces of designer series paper that are falling outside of this base here. Okay, so let's see. I want some contrast, so I'm thinking I might put, I don't know, let's put a little bit of green in there. And I am just going to work my way, across. And so that's what I want you to do with your little 1/2 inch squares. And when you get to the end, if you've extended beyond that base, don't worry about it. Push that down in there like that. And let's maybe put a light brown down here. So this is a scrappy pumpkin. Like I had just mentioned, I've got some samples where I took the time to plan out my pumpkin a little bit more and was looking at checkerboard patterns and stuff. So, but we're just going to keep this moving by, I think I'm going to put the little bird there. Put a darker one right there. I should have had one of these already done so you didn't have to watch me putting all of these squares down. Gives us a little bit longer just to hang out with each other. So let's see. And with the two-toned cardstock, you can cut just one long 1/2 inch strip, and flipping them over you get 2 different colors. Okay, so keep that in mind. And let's just put something in like this. See, I'm already going over a little bit, but that's okay. And if you've got bits and pieces that, like this piece right here, I think it's a fox that was in the designer series paper. I'm not really worried about keeping him there, or that he's got to be going a certain way. It's scrappy. And when we're done with our patchwork, we're going to set it to the side to dry. And we're going to work on making our Chirpydoodle Blackbird. So what do I want to bring in here? There's part of an owl. Okay, Julie, don't get hung up on what these little pieces are. Remember, this is supposed to be scrappy. So, I think I'll use this piece. And we'll just keep it going here. And what do I want to put on that side? Let's do another petal pink. Okay, last row. Now remember also that this is going to get quilted. So the pressure of the rollers in the cut and emboss machine is going to help kind of just blend all of these seams together. And we don't have to worry that we have to be like perfect. The quilting, the texture will move patterns and things around too when you got the dips and the valleys and all that good stuff. So got glue on my fingers and it's wanting to pick up everything. Okay, let's go with let's bring another brown in. Just trying not to get 2 of them together. And what I'm trying to do is put a lot of Cajun craze in there. Oh, there's Mr. Fox. Now, what is it? These are called little, like this bird would be kind of like what they call an Easter egg. Like little hints of something. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm going to put another green one in there. And as you can see, it got a little bit wonky, but that's okay. We're going to set this aside to dry, and then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to cut all of this extra off. But I don't want to do it right now because it's going to get my scissors all gunky. So I'm just going to set that patchwork aside. And we are going to build our Chirpydoodle Blackbird. So I have a 1-inch circle in basic black. Now you want to kind of roll up your circle. Let me see if I can get something here that's easier for you to see on the background. There's going to be like a natural way that this circle wants to fold up. And that's what I'm looking for. The least resistance. Because I'm going to fold this not in half, but a little off than that. Because when I fold this over, it's going to give the illusion of maybe separate his belly from his like wing. So I'm just going to let it bend. I'm going to fold it. Okay, so can you see how this just gives a curve here, like this would be his wing. Let me see if I can put this in the camera right. Being that it's black, it might be hard. But you can see that it's, one's his belly, and this is like his upper body with his wing. Okay, so I'm going to open the wing. I'm just going to leave that up there like that. We need to create some tail feathers. Now, if you've got the daisy punch, this is, for me, the easiest way. But you could, like, find another flower die or another punch that's got long petals. You could even take the bow punch or bough punch, and you can snip off pieces of that and put 3 of these leaves together to make his tail feathers. I'm going to take this daisy and I'm going to cut 3 of these petals off. So now I've got something like this. I'm going to take this outside petal and I'm going to fold it so that it goes over to the middle. And now I've made his tail feathers. And to secure that, I'm just going to bring in some glue dots. I used quite a few glue dots putting this together. Where is my tool? Just going to put that glue dot down and then fold over that other petal. And now we have the tail feathers. Okay, so we've got our tail feathers, we've got our body. Now, do you want your blackbird facing to the right or the left? That's something that you're going to want to know, because we're going to put, you got to know where to put the tail feathers, okay? I'm going to have mine, I don't know, I think I'm going to have him facing to the right. So I'm going to put another glue dot on the inside of the circle over here to the outside on that top half. So that when I tuck in the tail feathers up to where that seam is, that score line, when I close it, it tucks his tail feathers in and holds them in place. Now I'm going to open up my circle again, because I'm going to put a mini black dimensional on the inside of that upper part. And when I close it, it's going to look two-dimensional so that you can see the separation of the body from the wing. So there's the body and the wings of our blackbird, and now he needs a beak. Hi, Holly. Hi, Anna. Hi, Kathy, Luann. Let's see. Who else am I missing? Okay, I think I got everybody when I was saying hello. So I've got a piece of yellow cardstock, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of make my own little square here, just eyeballing it. I'm going to cut a square, and then I'm going to cut it in half diagonally to make 2 triangles. And I'm just going to see where I need to position this triangle underneath him to bring the beak out. Okay? And you can always trim this up if it's too big. But kind of get an idea where you want the beak. And then I'm going to put a glue dot again on the back of there. And I'm going to play with just giving him a beak. There we go. So there's our Chirpydoodle Blackbird. Just, you know, that's simple. Just let your die cuts or your punches do the work for you and just kind of alter them a little bit. So we've got our blackbird. Let's get these pieces all out of the way. Set him to the side. I'm going to move that card base out of the way. And let's bring back in our patchwork. I can feel that I have got some glue on the top of my patchwork. So excuse my arm. I should have had this on the ready. And I am just going to run my adhesive eraser across the top. I certainly don't want to get this stuck to the inside of my embossing folder. That feels better. And let's trim this up and make it look pretty. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to cut off anything that is outside of that base. I'll tell you, that's pretty good if that's all I had to trim off. And now we're going to look at our 4 corners and we're going to cut this square in half diagonally up to that other corner. And we're going to round our pumpkin off. And you can just throw away these pieces that we're cutting off. So we've rounded off our pumpkin. And now when it comes to the black stars, and you don't have to put a black star on your pumpkin. I like that country farmhouse look. Instead of doing 3 stars, I'm only going to do 1. And I think I'm going to put it maybe about here. I don't know, maybe down here. And you can either put this star on now so that it gets quilted in when you quilt your patchwork pumpkin, or you can put it on afterwards and look like it's laying on top. I've done most of mine with it laying on top in my samples. I want to see what it's going to look like if I quilt it right into the block. So I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of there. And I think I had him down here. I'm using my lines to help me with the placement of my star, so it's somewhat straight. So I am going to see what it looks like if I quilt my star right into my patchwork. And I am going to be using the Swirl embossing folder because I think it might give some interesting lines to my pumpkin. So I'm just going to place that. Just, you know how a pumpkin has those sections and the lines? I think I'm going to just see what this is going to look like. So I'll be right back. And this embossing folder is not a 3D embossing folder, so I'm actually using my two cutting plates with my base plate to run it through. Can you see the texture? And it really laid down my star nicely. So I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it. Let's get my design board here out of the way. You can see that I've got a lot of half square pieces left over so I can make some more cards. So we've got our Patchwork Pumpkin. And now what I want to do is I want to put the stem on. So I've got a piece of that green Designer Series paper. I'm going to put a little bit of liquid glue here on the back. And for me, so this doesn't look like an apple, I'm going to keep the stem somewhat short. I think if the stem's too long for me, for whatever reason, it reminds me of an apple instead of a pumpkin. So I'm going to keep it kind of short. So there's that. And now I want to bring in the front panel. And our pumpkin is going to get it here, down here to the bottom. Okay. So let's go ahead and put our pumpkin on. And now I went into my little leftover catch-all thingy, and I had a whole bunch of these vine pieces left over from, I think, this Harvest Hello bundle has been retired for a little while. But I had these vine pieces left over, so I thought, okay, that will help this look more like a pumpkin too, because I was so worried about it looking like an apple. But here's the Hello Harvest bundle. And you may have this, but these vines right here are what these pieces came from. So you might have this bundle in your stash. So we're making it a true Throwback Thursday because we're even bringing back in some old product. We're not going to get super technical. We're going to, if it's a throwback, we get to play with stuff we might not have used for a while. So I'm going to bring this in, and I'm going to put a vine on my pumpkin, and I am just going to hit or miss this with some glue. Now I could put some of this glue on my silicone mat and take a dauber and sponge it on, but I'm just going to lightly hit or miss with it. And then I'm going to attach my vine to the stem of my pumpkin. And that adds a little bit more interest. And now what I want to do, I'm going to bring in my Blackbird, but before I put him down, I'm going to just kind of get an idea of where he's going to be at. And I'm bringing in my Stampin' Write black marker, and he needs to have some legs. So I'm just going to make a V, an upside down V. And then I'm going to come down onto my Designer Series paper and just make some little feet so that he's standing on my pumpkin. And then put some liquid glue on the body, and I'm going to set him right up on his legs. And he can be looking up, he can be, you position your Blackbird wherever you want. So now we have this. Okay, we're creating this little scene here. And let's see, I do want to use another star. And so the original, I had all 3 stars on the pumpkin. And then back when this came out, there were these little stickers or embellishments that I used also. But we don't have those anymore. And so I've got another star. And I think I'm just going to put it right at the top. Just going to put it right up here at the top. And this star is going to be sitting up here. Now, if you do another one and you want your star embedded in with your texture background, then figure out where you want that star to be and put it on and then run it through your background. But it's okay if he's just sitting on top like that. Now let's look at bringing our card base in. And this is the easel mechanism. I want glue just on this bottom half, and I don't want it all the way out to the sides, because part of the sides is going to help frame this panel. I'm going to place it right there so that I have a Pecan Pie border. And I have the early Espresso, and I have the basic beige. Okay, now remember all that glue that I got on there? That needs to go, because if there is glue on this top part, it could easily close my card and I can't open it the way I want to, because it would get stuck to this back part right here. So I want that glue gone. I don't feel it on my finger with my finger. So now we have our easel, but we need to be able to stop the our pumpkin from sliding forward. We want it to stand up. So we need a stopper right here. And that stopper can be anything that you wish to use. It could be a sentiment. It could be a number of things, but I had some of these, which one do I like better? The Caring Leaves stamp set. I just did, I stamped Old Olive on Old Olive, and then the outline in Mossy Meadow, and I just fussy cut my leaf. And I'm going to use this leaf as my stopper. And as you can see, when I flipped it over, it's from a side where I didn't do very well in placing the outline stamp. But you know what they say, there's 2 sides to paper, so I just flipped it over, re-stamped it, and tried to do a better job. Okay, I think I want my stopper going like this. And I'm just going to place that leaf right there, and it catches the easel, or that easel portion, so that it's not falling forward. And when I open it, when you open it up, there's your thinking of you. Now, I want to zhuzh up the sides here a little bit more. So I've got 2 more of the leaves, and I am just going to glue them to the sides here. And it's okay if it comes over onto my to my sentiment. It adds a little interest. I don't know if you guys just heard my belly or not, but it's trying to tell me something. And so we'll have this one falling like this. And we'll have the other one not going the same way so that they don't look identical. We'll put this one up here in the corner. That gives this part more interest. And then you can see the leaves when it's standing up. But we need to bring in some gems because, you know what, before I do that, I'm going to... Oh, I didn't cut my back piece. I ended up cutting a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of designer series paper and putting it on the back because I felt like another layer of paper was making the card feel more stable. And then I was going to put my button on right now, but I need to have my back. So I'll have to come back and do this afterwards. But I was going to do that before I started messing with the gems. So I have these little gold pearls that also were from back in the day. They came in silver and they came in gold. And I really like them for the centers of flowers and things like that. So when they were on the clearance rack, I bought quite a few packages of them. So I'm going to use these little gold pearls, and I'm going to give my blackbird an eye. I'm going to put one in each of the center of each of my stars. And then I'm going to do 5 of them. I'm just going to put 2 on a diagonal over in this lower corner. So just to give it a little extra. So there's the new version of an old pattern. Okay. So this is the old, and this is the new, and you can see that just by changing, look, this is really nice and bright. We got oranges and yellows, and with the, back in the day, this would have been rich raspberry. This has more, to me, of a Halloween vibe, where this now is they're more muted and it has that fall feel that it could be used all the way through Thanksgiving. Okay. So, and you know, back in the day I didn't have the viney things, and so I was just drawing my little vine on there, fussy cutting some other leaves that came with a different stamp set. So we're just bringing this, and instead of very vanilla for the background, just going from very vanilla to basic beige gives you a totally different feel. So Betty, I am so thrilled that you dug back into those videos and brought this back. It really brought a lot of interest to that pattern. And it's like, why not? Let's do it again. This way I can make a PDF for it and get that over in the files so that you can add it to your library. So that is the newer version of the Patchwork Pumpkin. And now I want to show you a couple examples of how I planned the pumpkin a little bit more and looked at like a checkerboard thing. Hey Doris, is Robin with you? Hi Robin. Hi Betty and Jean. Oh my goodness, so many more came on since I've been so busy focused on my quilt card here. So we have that one. Now this is another scrappy one. I got another bird in it, in the little hedgie here, but I used pattern paper on the side. So there's those two. And you can just get a feel for how the colors can make it feel totally different. Here I went with a patchwork look on my pumpkins. So they were planned out a little bit more. And you've just got that checkerboard pattern to the pumpkins. Kathy, I am creating a PDF. It will load this weekend over in the files in the group, so that we have one, because back in 2021, I was just focused on being able to do a Facebook Live. PDFs were the furthest thing from my mind. So we need a PDF. And so I'm going to be looking at those old videos, the old Facebook Lives, and going back and bringing some of them into now and making PDFs for those. So look for it this weekend, okay? Oh, another Kathy. We have more than one Kathy. Hi, Janine. So here's another checkerboard, but notice I've got my Blackbird looking in the other direction. I have him actually on the other side. And then these two are still scrappy. The first one I made, I put it on Petal Pink, and I think the Petal Pink card base works, but then I switched over to Pecan Pie. But this was my first go at redoing the pattern. And now my stars are from a punch that is retired, but you might have it. It's the one with all the stars. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different stars that it will punch out. I used this one up here, but when I was punching this, I was getting this really tiny one sometimes also. And that's where those little tiny stars came from. All from this star punch. So look at what punches, what you have on hand. I like the daisy punch for the tail feathers. And I can get another Blackbird out of what was left. So I think that one's easy. But if you look at any of your flowers and flower petals, you can make tail feathers rather easily. So here are... I've got enough of them, don't you think? So yeah, I ended up with 7. So I'm going to give away 4. If you would like to win a Patchwork Pumpkin, then I want you to comment with Patchwork Pumpkin. And Saturday I will draw 4 names and get these out in the mail to you then. So Patchwork Pumpkin. Hey Judy, Judy's on here. Hi Judy, hi Kathy. Keyword Patchwork Pumpkin. So 2 things before I go. The Facebook Live for October's Barn Quilt Kit Together is tomorrow night, not tonight. I want you to go have fun, go trick-or-treating with your families. So that'll be tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. And then the other thing is Patchwork Pumpkin is the key word if you want to try to win one of the cards that we made today. And remember, today's the last day. The kits are on sale, some of them up to 30% off. And the starter kit special ends tonight also. So, with that being said, enjoy your Halloween. Enjoy trick-or-treating with your grandchildren or your children. Or if maybe you're the one passing out candy, have fun with that tonight. And I will see you tomorrow night when we put the barn quilts together, okay? So everybody have a blessed day, and I will be seeing you back here tomorrow night. Okay, everyone have a great day. We got to go vote. Okay, hold on. Let's see, finish.